This is Richard Turnock for Systems Academy, and this is the second video in a series about systems sandwich or system sandwich. and, so the sandwich is qualitative model with a quantitative model where you would put the meat, the things that you're going to put in between two pieces of bread would be the quantitative model we're looking at here as an example. The first example we did was with the rain barrel, and then now we're going to show how you can progress from the rain barrel to other domains, subjects. So we've got a qualitative model. I've got a qualitative model that I put together that is here on YouTube. You can see the qualitative model. It's sloppy, it's ugly, but that's what happens when you're working with a group of people and you brainstorm, you have these ideas. So we've got affirmations flowing into self-esteem. You have to know the level of self-esteem. So you have a target self-esteem, and you have self-talk that's looks like it's reducing the self-esteem. So this looks like a thing that we might be able to turn into a quantitative model. So let's see here. We'll change the name of this to affirmations. And we'll stretch this out a little bit so we get more room. And we have an inflow here of affirmations going to rain barrel. No, we're going to call this self-esteem. So as a teacher or an adult or a parent gives positive statements or affirmations to someone and or a student, their self-esteem would go up. The level of self-esteem would increase. And so we're going to measure that level here. This little dotted line is to the level is information about the level of self-esteem. And then that information goes to the drain, but we're going to call it self-talk like we did in our other, we'll call it qualitative model here. And the rate, actually we're going to change the name of this and call this our target self-esteem, so that we can show something here. But really what's going to happen is we're going to need to change. So we're going to have a little different model this time. We're going to have a target self-esteem compared to the level. So we're going to create another variable here called the gap. Not quite the same gap as what you'd go find at a mall, but this kind of gap is the difference between these two values, the target and the actual level. And then we're going to use that when we, that gap, to determine the level of self-esteem. So let's put an equation in here for the gap. We're going to take the difference between the level and the target. So let's take the level minus the target. And we have a value for the target of, well, 0.05 is not going to be good. So let's say the target level is going to be we can pick anything, let's say 50. And we're going to start out here, the initial value is 50. And this is the rain, oh, it's not the rain barrel level anymore, it's the self-esteem level. Okay, and we've got the gap there as a difference. Okay, initial value is 50, the target value is 50. We got 100,000 affirmations available. What's our inflow? Inflow is 10. Okay, so a student might get 10 affirmations in a day. That would boost their self-esteem in theory up to 60, but the target is going to bring it back down. So let's check our time settings. Going out to 200, let's take that in shorter here, and let's do days instead, and apply that. Okay, now, so the idea here is based on your experience with the rain barrel, you would know that you want to run a lot of scenarios. You want to run a lot of simulations with this model, and you've hopefully done that with the rain barrel model. So based on the values that I've put in here, that you've seen here, is a flow rate of 10, a self-esteem of 50, the target is 50, and so we've got a gap of 0 initially, but what's our difference here? Or our equation in the self-talk isn't right, is it? That should be the gap, so that we're adding or subtracting. Okay, so, but we want to have our self-talk working at a certain rate. So we still need this rate that I got rid of earlier. We're going to put that back in there and connect that up. Going to link, okay. I'm going to link it in here, give this information to the self-talk. All right, now we got to go back and change the equation for self-talk, and the equation becomes the gap times the rate. Now we can put in a value for the rate of 0.05. So as time goes on, so this is like 0.05 is 5%. So 5% of the gap every time period, the self-talk is going to reduce the self-esteem by 5% every time period. So this is basically the same model as the rain barrel, right? We've just added a target in here, a goal, but still we've got a rate times a number that drains the level. So what do you think is going to happen? What do you think the graph is going to go up or down, or is it going to be curved up or curved down? You want to look at the numbers here. I've used 10 for the inflow, and we've got this rate. Now, based on your experience with the rain barrel, what's going to happen? Let's see. Oh, interesting. Well, out to 20, I think we should change our time settings. Maybe that time setting wasn't long enough here. Let's go to 100 and try this again. And now we're getting there. Okay. It's a little different shape than the rain barrel. We've got the rain barrel had pretty much a straight, because of the values that I used in the last video, the rain barrel came off pretty straight going up initially, but then it curved over pretty fast. This is curving over slower. So what you want to do again with this model is put in different numbers, build yourself a table of numbers for the inflow, the initial value for the self-esteem, and different values for the target and different values for the rate. And you'll want to run this model a lot of times and get familiar with how it behaves. Now this kind of a model has been validated with psychologists, and this is how psychologists model a person's self-esteem. So the key to maintaining a person's self-esteem is not the external affirmations. The key feedback loop is the gap between the actual level of self-esteem and a person's internal target that they have within their mind as to what they think their self-esteem should be. And they use their self-talk. Their self-talk might be positive or negative, depending on whether their target self-esteem is higher or lower than their actual self-esteem. So you can see that psychologists are very keen about talking to people and getting people to talk about how they, what they're thinking, because that's the key to improving self-esteem. Teachers in the 1980s spent a lot of time giving positive affirmations to students to find that over time, days and weeks, the students' self-esteem just went right back to where it was. Self-esteem was supposed to improve a student's performance and help them in school, and so they got better grades, but it didn't seem to work over time. And here's the reason: because a person's self-talk is more powerful than any amount of affirmations you give them. All right, so what I've shown here is how to transition from the rain barrel quantitative model to a self-esteem quantitative model. I fit that within the context of the system sandwich, where you have start with a qualitative model. This is the quantitative model, and then once you understand and have run a lot of simulations here with this self-esteem model, then you would build a qualitative model that you would use for presentations, and you'd be able to tell a story about how self-esteem works and the feedback loop that you see here that is I've called self-talk. And then you can make a presentation and be considered an expert in psychology. Well, maybe not an expert, but you'll be able to understand a lot of different people, people who are self-centered, people who have issues with self-esteem, or need help with dealing with their self-talk. And that's the video for today.